I'm Rip Esselstyn, and you're listening to the Plant Strong podcast. In just over a year's time, Kori Clark broke her cycle of food addiction and has lost over 120 pounds. Find out how, and most importantly, why she did it right after these words from Plant Strong. Do you have FOMO about plant stock and wish that you could attend this year? Never fear. Our virtual ticket options give you a front row seat to the live presenters along with all the virtual talks, and you can tune in live or watch the replays. This annual weekend celebrates the luminaries of the plant-based movement and provides expert education on all the latest insights into the lifestyle benefits while giving all of you inspiration and motivation to try all these new things at home. A virtual ticket is just $49 and includes unlimited replays plus a downloadable recipe guide so you can make and enjoy all the meals of the Plant Stock Weekend at home. Visit liveplantstrong.com and then click on Plant Stock for all the details. The event kicks off August 16th in Black Mountain, and if you want to attend, we just might be able to squeeze you in. Check our website for all the details. How many of you grew up on Kraft macaroni and cheese, Chef Boyardee, or food out of a box, or drive-through windows? You're certainly not alone here. Kori Clark, my guest today, grew up on these foods and was caught dead center in the middle of the pleasure trap from a very early age. And in fact, you're going to hear the story of how her mom tried to break her addiction to Kraft macaroni and cheese by making her eat, you guessed it, mac and cheese for every single meal for a month. And needless to say, it didn't work, not for a second. Now, determined to lose weight, Kori tried everything. Weight Watchers, Paleo, Nutri-System, even phen pills when they were actually legal. And no big surprise here, she would lose the weight for a time, but it wouldn't last. And then she would inevitably self-sabotage, and the weight would come roaring back. Just over a year ago, Kori watched the documentary What the Health and went down the rabbit hole of whole food, plant-based nutrition, and she dropped over 120 pounds. And according to her doctors, she now has the heart of an elite athlete. Even her OB-GYN was shocked that a woman could actually lose weight in the menopause transition. Yeah, Kori's lost weight and improved her metabolic health, but Kori is most happy to be free from her food addiction. Let's hear her triumphant story right now. Kori Clark, welcome to the Plant Strong podcast. It is a pleasure to have you today.
Thank you so much. Glad to be here.
Yes. So, week after week, we have doctors, we have scientists, we have nutritionists, we have CEOs with John Mackey. But every once in a while, we love to have somebody that is boots on the ground, living and breathing the Plant Strong lifestyle, and that is in the process transformed their health. And you have done just that. You sent us a beautiful letter at hello@plantstrong.com telling us about your journey, and you did it in such a very fun and funny and really vulnerable way that I was like, man, I'd love to get Kori on the podcast if she's willing, and you were willing. So with that, Kori, where am I talking with you today?
I am in sunny San Diego.
Love San Diego. I've been there a handful of times, and whenever I go, I can't believe how idyllic the temperatures are. Is that why you live there?
Of course, it's the best.
Well, good for you. I'm jealous. I'm in Austin, and I think it's going to get 99 here today. Ooh.
Sorry.
Yeah, me too. Well, let's talk about your health journey. When did you decide that you were going to get healthy?
Well, Rip, I have wanted to be healthy for my whole life, and I've tried for most of my life through diet and exercise for a lot of years, but it's just never stuck.
Mm.
And then more recently, I watched some documentaries that really changed my life.
What were those documentaries?
So the first one was What the Health.
Uh-huh.
And after watching that, everything just kind of clicked for me. And then I went down the rabbit hole and just watched everything I could, Forks Over Knives, The Game Changers, just all of them. And everything just made sense to me.
Can you remember, I'm kind of putting you on the spot here, but can you remember, was there a moment in What the Health where it just hit you, or was it just the totality of the whole documentary?
It was the totality, but I kind of remember just feeling that it was more than just not having willpower, because I'm a strong person and I have willpower, and I've proven that throughout my life by losing and then gaining weight many times before. But what that documentary showed was how addicting the standard American diet is. And I really felt like that was what my problem was. I had to get away from that diet.
Yeah. Well, you and 95% of the population. And of course, we know all about the pleasure trap because of Doug Lisle, his work along with Dr. Alan Goldheimer with True North, and just how, hyper palatized, hyper processed these processed foods are, and they hit our brains, and it has basically the same effect as, like drugs, right?
Completely true.
Cocaine, nicotine, opiates, and obviously at a lower level, but still hits the same pathways. And so we have to, once you understand that these foods are like low levels of drugs, knowledge is power. And then it allows you, I think, to then set yourself free. And you have been able to set yourself free. But let's talk about when you were in that cage match with the standard American diet. How far back does that go?
I mean, it goes back to when I was a little girl. I grew up on Kraft macaroni and cheese, Chef Boyardee. That's what I ate. TV dinners, microwave with the foil, and that's what I ate for most of my young years.
Mm-hmm.
And so that addiction started way back when I was maybe 4 or 5 years old.
Mm. And at what age were you either looking in the mirror or getting comments that you were overweight?
Since I was little, I was always overweight, as I can remember being an overweight child, not knowing how to fit in with the other kids, being teased, later not having boyfriends, all of it. And then going on many, many unhealthy diets to try to lose the weight, but never really addressing the issue, which I think is the addiction.
Well, in the letter that you wrote, you mentioned how at the age of 6, you had a birthday party and you didn't eat a piece of birthday cake because you were trying to lose weight back then at 6.
Yes.
I mean, can you remember, like, how much did you weigh at the age of 6, or just know that you were overweight?
Yeah, I don't remember how much I weighed, but I remember feeling uncomfortable, having my father make, a lot of comments about my weight because his mother was severely overweight and he was always so worried about me. And I just remember that I couldn't have my cake. I couldn't have my cake. Yeah, it's sad.
Mm-hmm. And you had brothers and sisters?
I have a sister, an older sister. She never had to struggle with her weight. She's beautiful and thin her whole life, and it was hard for me.
So looking back on it, at the time, were you blaming your like faulty genes? And would you say that in retrospect that was correct?
I mean, I blamed myself. I just grew up with a lot of self-hatred and shame and humiliation. And I was so hard on myself, as a lot of people are. And
Mm.
that was who I blamed, was me. Why couldn't I do it? Why couldn't I have more willpower? Why did I binge? Why did I look this way?
Mm. Looking back, can you give me an idea? And again, we understand that you're caught in the pleasure trap. You're eating these foods that are, so easy to eat. And because they're so calorie rich and nutrient vacant and lacking in water and fiber, it's easy to pack on the pounds. Can you give me and the audience an idea of like what did binging look like for Kori?
I mean, just a lot of food, just eating a meal and then going back for more, and then sneaking food when nobody was around, and when I was younger, getting into cookies or ding dongs and Twinkies and ice cream and all of the high sugar, high fat foods I could find, and eating way beyond, until the place where I wasn't hungry anymore. It wasn't even about that. And then just the guilt and the shame and feeling terrible and hating myself.
And hating yourself because you couldn't, was it purely around the weight or did it go beyond that?
Yeah, it was the weight. Why couldn't I control myself? Why was I such a pig? Why? Yeah, just
Right.
shame and hatred.
Right. And so I'm just trying to, get my brain wrapped around so many people that have weight issues and how it can become all consuming.
All consuming.
Like,
Yes.
would you say that you were thinking about that 50% of the time? Like how?
All the time.
All,
I was so self-absorbed too. I always thought that's what everybody who looked at me was thinking all the time. I come to realize that people actually think about other things and think about their own things. But in my mind, everybody was looking at me. Everybody was making judgments and comments. And it was just a very hard way to live.
how, I mean, again, this is if you want to share, but how tall are you and how much did you weigh at your heaviest?
Yeah, it's hard for me to admit. Never told anybody, even my husband, but I'm just about 5'7", and I was 300 pounds.
Uh-huh. You said on the journey, you've tried every diet. You've lost the weight, you've gained the weight. Can you talk about some of the different dietary approaches that you have tried?
Sure. I mean, you name it. I was Nutri-System, Jenny Craig, Weight Watchers. I took phen. I did paleo. I did intermittent fasting. And then I've gone back to a lot of those many, many times. Yeah.
And then, but give me the mindset. Like, so let's say you're doing the Jenny Craig. You go into it. Are you hopeful? Are you thinking,
Oh,
what,
yeah.
this is going to be the one where
Absolutely.
I am going to nail it. I'm going to lose the weight and I'm going to lose it for good.
Yes, I wanted that more than anything in the world. I wanted to do that. So that's exactly what I did. And I ate all the foods and I did all the things and I lost the weight. And then I kept it off for about 5 seconds and gained it all back.
Uh-huh. Well, so typically, what is 5 seconds? Is that a year? Is that 5 months? What is that?
It's never actually attaining my goal weight. I've never actually attained my goal weight. I just would get close and then self-sabotage and just eat my way back up.
Mm-hmm. And let's say you're on Jenny Craig, you're on Weight Watchers, and you're following it. Are you like following it to a T, like perfection? And then one day,
Usually, yes. I'm pretty gung ho. I'm very driven. And when I set my mind to something, I usually succeed at it. So, yes.
Yeah. And so when the wheels start to come off, right?
Sure.
Is it happen slowly? Does it happen like,
It's so
just
fast. The
so
wheels
fast?
come off. The wheels come off, and I give up, and I make excuses. And well, I've already blown it for this day, so I might as well eat more things. And well, it's already Thursday. I can always start on Monday. I think a lot of us do that.
Mm,
Yeah.
mm. And when the wheels do come off, do you just make up for lost time and just go to town like nobody's business?
Yeah, I do.
Uh-huh.
And then I hate myself for it. And then I say, well, I'll never do it. I might as well just give up. And then I give up, and then I just eat more because I
Right.
just tell myself I'm unworthy and it's not for me. I'll never be thin. I'll never be beautiful. I'll never be this and that. I'll never be healthy. And I just give up.
Mm. And
I
so
can
you
be the
said,
best at it or I can be the worst at it.
right. And when you're doing Weight Watchers and Jenny Craig, aren't these kind of group settings? Do you actually go in person, or was some of this during COVID where it was more online?
Jenny Craig was more, I did that one in college. Weight Watchers was a really good one for me. I actually continued that for a very long time. And there was a group setting, and it really taught me portion control
Mm-hmm.
and that I wasn't alone. And that one I really did like, but it still didn't address what I was eating.
I love to understand. So you've tried, have you ever tried Whole30?
No, I didn't do that
Okay.
one.
But you tried paleo.
Paleo, I did for a long
And
time.
tell me about paleo, and what did that look like, and what were you eating, and how long did you do it, and what was your success, or what was your success with it?
So I did paleo when I did CrossFit. I did that for probably 2 years. I was paleo, and I ate a lot of meat and I ate a lot of bacon. And I did lose some weight, but
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that was because I was doing CrossFit as well, but I wasn't healthy. My cholesterol was through the roof. My blood pressure was very high. I was pre-diabetic. So not the
Mm-hmm.
healthiest way to go for me.
So when you were at your heaviest,
Mm-hmm.
did you have any other medical issues that you had to address?
Yeah, all of the ones like I mentioned, I was pre-diabetic. I had hypertension. I was in pain. I had inflammation. I think I've always loved to work out, and I've always exercised and moved a lot. So I think that's what saved me, was that I was at least active, even at my heaviest.
Have you always been kind of an athlete and athletic?
Yes. I've always
Yeah,
loved it, and I've always wanted to be better at it, but my weight was always in my way.
right. When did you watch What the Health? How long ago was that?
That was about a year ago.
Okay. So what's been your success since you found that and you've gone down the plant-based rabbit hole?
It was just life-changing. It was just an aha moment like no other for me. And I realized that what I was eating, it wasn't how much. I used to weigh and measure everything I ate. And it was just me versus willpower. And I could
Mm.
never win that. I could win it for short times, but in the long run, the willpower always got me. And after watching the documentary and switching the way I eat, it's just not about that anymore. It's just so much easier in so many ways.
And how much weight have you dropped?
I am down 120 pounds.
That's great. And so are you, hey,
Thank you.
what about all the blood pressure and the prediabetes and all that? How's that sitting?
So everything is great, except my resting heart rate has gotten so low. I actually had to go see a cardiologist and get tested and get my heart looked at, and I had to wear a heart rate monitor, and the doctors were very worried about me. And after a week of wearing this heart rate monitor, they called me in and they told me that I have a heart of an elite athlete now. And I was either dying or I was an elite athlete. So luckily I'm an elite athlete.
You got an inner Olympian right there, or actually it's no longer inner, it's right there. There you are. Yeah, I think they call that bradycardic when you have a really low heart rate. Can you remember like what it was? Was it like 45 beats per minute or something?
During the day, it's about 40. And then at night, they called me the first morning and I answered the phone because they were getting readings real time. They called me in the morning. Are you okay? Are you okay? And I'm like, yeah. Are you feeling faint? Are you dizzy? No. Okay. And I said, well, what's going on? They said, well, your heart rate was down to 32.
Wow.
I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm fine. They're like, okay.
Yeah. Wow. That is something. I know once I wore a Holter monitor for 24 hours. They wanted to just check my heart and see what was going on. This is several years ago, back when I was doing the triathlons full time, and my heart rate got down to 28 when I was sleeping. And the woman that was analyzing it said she's never seen a heart rate get down that low. And she too was very concerned. And
Yeah.
I told her, well, listen, I've been a world-class athlete. And so there you go. You and I, right in the low 30s, high 20s.
I don't know. I'm not a world-class athlete, but I do like to exercise.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, so what are some of the things you love doing now that were maybe harder for you to do when you were heavier?
I mean, my favorite thing in the world is horseback riding. I actually got a horse from my husband as an engagement ring 26 years ago.
Wow.
So that's why. That's why I want to do this, is because I love riding. Besides riding, I love to play pickleball like you. Yeah. I like to go hiking. I spin. I just love to be active all day.
And do you have a group that you play pickleball with?
I do have a group. Yes, a Monday morning group.
Well, that's fun. What does your husband think of? Well, maybe he's seen it, but what does he think of not only the kind of the new lighter Kori, but what does he also think about the food you're eating? Is he on board with it?
Mostly. He's a really good sport. I cook for me in my house. Everybody's welcome to eat what I'm eating, but if you want something else, you have to make it for yourself. So my husband does love vegetables and he eats everything I make. He might add cheese to things. I tease him a lot because I make this beautiful meal and then he'll dump cheese on it. But that's him. But I would say he eats the way I eat about 80% of the time. Pretty good.
Great. Well, he obviously has seen what it's done for you and must be thrilled with your success.
He is thrilled. He literally can't keep his hands off me. It's a little annoying. But I give him a shout out. He has loved me and made me feel beautiful at all sizes. So he's a good guy.
Yeah. Well, love hearing that. Now, you guys have any children, or is that your child right behind you napping?
That's one of our rescue children. I have 2 boys.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. And are they out of the house?
Mostly, yes. My oldest is out of the house. My youngest is going to be starting school at the University of Austin.
What do they think of mom's new Plant Strong diet?
Yeah, they're not as on board as I am, but they respect the way I eat and they're really proud of me. And my youngest is a weightlifter, bodybuilder. And so I've been going to the gym with him and he's been training me and that's been a lot of fun.
Yeah. Well, did you sit him down and make him watch the Game Changers?
I did make him watch the Game Changers, exactly. But he's not ready to give up the meat yet.
Yeah. Yeah. You mentioned in your letter how one of the things that you loved and you couldn't get enough of was the boxed macaroni and cheese with that fluorescent, orange powder that you put on there and then you mix it in. Typically, what do you mix it in with? Like, is it with like whole milk?
Well, I did whole milk and butter because why do one?
Okay. Whole milk and butter.
Oh yeah.
But tell us the story about what your mother did to try and make you get sick and tired of it.
Yeah, I loved it so much. That's all I wanted to eat growing up. And then when I was, I don't know, I'm going to guess about 10 years old, she had this idea that if she just fed me nothing but Kraft macaroni and cheese morning, noon, and night, I would get sick of it. So I think for about a week or maybe a week and a half, that's all I ate was Kraft macaroni and cheese for breakfast, lunch, dinner, snacks. I remember her picking me up from school and having it in a thermos for me. And obviously that experiment did not work on her for her. I just loved it even more. It's all I wanted.
Can you remember the last time you've had something like that?
No. No.
Got it. Go back to me if you don't mind. And when you were heavy, what were some of the things that would go through your mind that maybe other people don't have to think about when you're just going about your daily routine, maybe when you're traveling, that could be anxiety producing?
Yeah. I mean, just being that size, anywhere I go was stressful. I just was so ashamed of myself and just never wanted to be in pictures, just was always the photographer. I was scared of sitting in a chair that it would break. I was scared of flying in an airplane and not fitting in the seat. It was just everywhere I went in my mind, it was all about my size. Everything was about how big I was. It was very hard. I would spin class, and every time I would get on that spin bike, I would think, oh my gosh, what if I break this seat in front of everybody? And yeah, all the time.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. You wrote about how you had a friend that recently asked you that if you ever look in the mirror and wish that you were 25 again. And what did you say to them?
No, no, I don't want to be 25 again. I love being 55 because I've never felt better. And I'm the healthiest I've ever been. I'm the strongest I've ever been. I'm the most athletic I've ever been. And I wouldn't go back to 25. No.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure that over the years you've been seeing a physician or two. Are you still seeing, have you seen the same one for the last 10, 15, 20 years?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And is it a he or she?
I have one of each, but my female gynecologist doctor, she couldn't believe that I was able to lose this weight post-menopause. In fact, she said I'm the only patient she has that has been able to successfully lose weight after menopause, and she told me to write a book.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so is she saying, how have you done it? I want to know more. And I want to prescribe this to, my other patients? Or is she just like, you know what, Kori, good for you. Keep doing what you're doing. Write a book.
That's more like that. In fact, she asked me if I would talk to all her other patients trying to lose weight unsuccessfully.
Oh, man.
I feel like I found the fountain of youth. I feel like I found this secret and not enough people know about it. And I just feel so lucky. And I do want to just shout it from the rooftops.
What do your parents and your sister think?
Yeah, everybody, my family's super supportive and interested in learning more. And my mom especially has really jumped on board with me. And we both have Be a Plant-Based Woman Warrior cookbook, and we share recipes. And yeah, it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah. So you said you've been doing this a year. For those that are out there that are, let's say, struggling with their weight, struggling with the plant strong lifestyle,
Yeah.
what advice would you give them? What keeps you on the straight and narrow, and what is preventing the wheels from coming off this bus?
Sure. I would say, I just look at it like what I'm feeding myself is nutrition, and this is for good health. And it took a while to get off the high fat, high sugar, high salt, food that tastes so good, and learn to love the plants. And the way I feel and the health that I've attained is worth so much more than whatever taste I'm missing from eating the old way.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say if you slip up or you eat something you know is not the best for you, just limit it to that experience and make sure your next meal counts.
Mm-hmm. So would you say over the last year, you've had numerous slip-ups where you've learned to not puncture the other tires?
Not really. I don't really feel like I slip up. I don't use those words anymore. This is the way I eat now. And if there's something I really want, probably sushi is the one thing that was my favorite food. My favorite adult food was sushi. Yeah. And I just tell myself, if there's sushi or anything like that I really want, I'll just have it. I'll just have that one thing. But because I allow myself that, I just don't want it. I don't know how to explain it. I look at it and I know it's not good for me. And I know it starts that addiction that I don't want to go back to. And it's just really it hasn't been hard for me to just say no to that way. This is the way I am now.
Well, and to me, the thing about, for example, nori is you can have I love nori rolls too. I just had them the other day, but it was just brown rice, avocado, cucumber, carrot,
Yeah.
and it was with the wasabi and the ginger. And to me, that's kind of the experience. I don't need to have, eel in there or salmon or
Right.
whatever. So, I mean, to me, you can get your nori fix and not have it, also be unhealthy.
I agree. Yeah. I love eating vegan sushi now.
Yeah. Yeah. Amen to vegan sushi. Let us know, like, what does a typical day, breakfast, lunch, dinner, snacking look like now for Kori?
I'm not shy. I eat a lot of food. I work out hard and I eat a lot of food. It's, lower calorie food and high nutrition, but I'm not shy about eating.
Mm-hmm.
So my first meal of the day is always I make an oatmeal applesauce muffin with my coffee. That's usually very early in the morning, and then I go work out.
I may have to dive in for follow-up questions after
Sure.
you say stuff. So coffee, plain, sugar and creamer, what do you do?
I use a little bit of chickpea milk in my coffee.
Oh.
Yeah.
I didn't know there was such a thing as chickpea.
I know. Yeah. It has 10 grams of protein per serving.
Oh, interesting. Mm-hmm. We may have to look into that as a line extension on our Plant Strong milks, the chickpea milk.
Chickpea milk. And then I go and ride my horse, and I always bring with me a wrap that I make. And so that is an Ezekiel tortilla.
Yeah.
And I make a roasted red pepper hummus. And I use the recipe from Be a Plant-Based Warrior cookbook. And I add roasted red peppers to it. And then I load it with vegetables. It's usually with beets that I've steamed, lots of greens, sometimes a little farro in there, but just whatever vegetables I have on hand, I load that up into my wrap with my hummus. And that's my next meal.
And so when you take that to go horseback riding, how do you do it? Do you wrap it in tinfoil or put it in
use beeswax? I have a reusable beeswax that I use.
And you wrap it in that?
Uh-huh.
Uh-huh. And then do you take bites as you're riding the horse?
No,
or?
No, that's usually before I get on. I sit down and have my fuel.
Uh-huh. Yeah. And what does a typical horseback ride look like for you?
Yeah, I usually ride for close to an hour, and I train for competitions. I do show jumping.
Wow. Was that something that you were able to do before or not because of your weight?
So I have ridden horses almost my whole life, but I did stop for many years when I was at my heaviest. I had to stop riding for about 3 years. And that was the hardest 3 years of my life, really.
What is it? Can you describe for us who don't ride horses, what is it about horseback riding that you love?
I mean, the thrill of going fast and going over jumps is just an adrenaline rush, like no other. It's just so much fun. And it's hard, it's challenging, it's rewarding. And I just love animals. I love horses. I love being around them. I love brushing them. I love everything about them. The smell, the dirt, all of it.
I like it. All right. So you were talking about horseback riding and the wrap that you make in the Ezekiel.
Oh yeah. Bread. Yep. Every day.
Okay. And then continue on with your day.
Okay. So then I go through my day at lunchtime. I often have a Plant Strong pizza that I make. And that's, I would say most days I eat that. And I put the sauce on, and then I load it up with roasted vegetables. Typically, I roast them with nothing on them. I don't use water, nothing, just roasted cauliflower, lots of mushrooms, tons of greens. And then I make a vegan cheese sauce. And I bake that, and I have about half of it for lunch every day. And
how do you make that vegan cheese sauce? Because I know there's people probably listening going, I want to know how you.
Yeah, there's a lot of good recipes out there, but the one I use has no nuts. And although I love nuts, when you're trying to lose weight, it's easy not to if you're eating too many nuts. So I found a cheese sauce without nuts, and I make it all the time. So it's with silken tofu Just
Mm.
put it in the blender with some nutritional yeast, some smoked paprika, a little bit of wine vinegar, lots of Dijon mustard, garlic, and onion powder,
Mm.
and blend it together, and it's delicious.
So no carrots, no
Oh,
potatoes,
this one's
just
real easy. Yeah,
just
you
the
did.
cooked tofu.
Blend it together in less than 5 minutes. It's done.
And so you use that on the pizza as a
I,
pizza sauce.
no, I'm sorry. I put your pizza sauce that it comes
Oh,
with on there, and then I put the cheese sauce on top of all the vegetables.
yeah. That's what I meant.
Yeah.
Um, that does sound delicious. And what about snacking? Are you snacking at all during the day on
Not
fruit?
really. If I do, it's on fruit. I keep berries washed in the fridge in a bowl with no lid. And I do that so that when I'm real hungry, which I get real hungry, I'll open the fridge and I just grab handfuls of the berries before I even think about anything else. I just eat the berries that are ready to go, washed and prepped.
Yeah, that's really smart. Um, I love that. We have a thing on at our retreats. We call it choice architecture, where you basically do things and you do little things ahead of time so that it makes it easier for you to eat healthy.
Yes.
Like if you get a watermelon or a cantaloupe or a honeydew, cut it, put it in slices, and put it right there in a bowl or put it in the fridge so it's super easy
Yes,
to
I do
grab
that.
and eat. Right? Same thing with what you described there with the berries. I love doing the same thing with grapes. Throw them in the freezer, especially this time of the year. So that's super, super smart.
I meal prep my freezer a lot. So I make a lot of beans. I love to cook. And so I do a lot of chilies and different things with beans and lentils. And I always have meals in my freezer. So when I don't feel like cooking or I'm
Yeah.
very hungry and I don't know what to have, I can always grab something from the freezer.
You know, in listening to what you eat, if I was a carbophobic, I would be very, very shocked with the Ezekiel wraps, with the pizza crust, with the muffins that you're making. I'd be like, oh my gosh, Kori, I'm worried for you, right? But you and I both know that carbohydrates are not the devil, especially
Nope.
when they're whole, unprocessed carbohydrates like you're eating.
Yeah.
And they're what fuel our 30 plus trillion cells, especially when you're active and you're athletic like you and I are. So congrats on for embracing whole, healthy carbohydrates.
Yay, carbohydrates.
Yay. Now, what foods, you mentioned nuts, you're kind of staying away from the nuts as you're trying to get to your goal.
I eat some. I do eat some walnuts. I eat some seeds, but just small amounts.
What are some foods that you, in the, let's say, the plant-based world, that you steer clear of? Would you say, like, are you doing avocado? Are you doing peanut butter, nut butters, any of that stuff?
Yeah, not so much the nut butters, very little avocado. I won't say none, but very little when I'm trying to lose. Just small amounts of nuts and seeds. I don't use tahini in my hummus anymore. I don't feel like I need it. And again, I'm trying to lose weight. Those are the things that have the high calories.
Are you part of a support group, or is there a book that's your Bible right now, or like what are you doing for accountability and to
I'm on the Plant Strong community group. I'm very active on that on Facebook. And
you are?
so,
Okay.
yes, very much so.
And
So I would say that's my support group.
right. And for those that don't know what Kori's talking about, it's the Go Plant Strong Facebook account that we have. And there's, if I'm not mistaken, like 35,000 members, and we have had that going on now probably, gosh, I want to say 12, 14 years, and it typically is super supportive, non-judgmental.
Yes. Good ideas. We share a lot of good ideas and inspiration. And a lot of us doing this don't have that support at home or through friends. Like I don't have anybody in my life who eats the way I eat. And so it's nice to have a group of people who kind of get it, and we have each other there.
Am I going to get to see you at Plan Stock this year?
I wish I could go. I really wanted to.
I got it. I got it. Yeah. Well, maybe another time.
I sure hope so.
Yeah. What is the thing that you miss most? And it can't be Nori. Miss
Okay.
most about your old lifestyle? Anything?
What I miss most? No, I mean, I guess eating out. It's not that I don't eat out. I still do eat out, not as often. Social events are tough. But I often will be the host, which I like to be anyway. And that way I can make food the way I like to eat.
Hmm.
And my friends are learning to love it too. I've never had any complaints. What do I miss most? I don't know. I feel so amazing now that it's hard to like look back and think, what do I miss? Cause I'm just so happy right now.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's been a year. Do you feel at this point, based upon the different journeys you've been on in the past with the different programs, do you feel like this one feels sustainable and doable?
100%, 100%. Yes. For the first time, I feel like I have the confidence to do this. I feel like this is the way I'm supposed to eat, and
Mhm.
it feels incredible. Yeah.
Mhm. Explain to me, like, what is it? What is it that makes you feel like this is sustainable and this is the path that you could stay on?
For the first time in my life, don't feel like I'm addicted to food anymore. I don't think about it all the time, every minute of the day. What am I going to eat next? Can't wait to eat this. Can't wait to eat that. There's so much more to life. Who knew? Who knew there's more to life than food? But there is. There's a lot of fun things to do out there, and I want to do them all. And they
Mhm.
don't all revolve around eating. And so I do pack food with me wherever I go almost. And I'm really big into meal prep and always having healthy options at home. And I love the way I eat, but it's a different love.
Mm.
And I feel free. I don't feel addicted anymore.
Yeah, I like all that a lot. It makes so much sense. And the fact too that you said this before you shared what you eat in a typical day, you were like, I eat a lot. I like to eat, right? And
Yeah,
that's the
I'm
other
hungry.
thing. Yeah, but that to me is one of the most important things that I want people to get their heads wrapped around is that you don't have to starve yourself to lose weight, right? You don't have
Well,
to.
and when I've done that too, and I was losing lean muscle, and then of course gaining it back as fat.
Yeah,
And I work hard for my lean muscle. I don't want to be losing that.
no,
So
no, yeah. And so you get to eat. Let's just call it copious amounts of food for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. You don't have to count, measure,
no,
weigh, portion control, all those things that so many of us have relied on to try and lose weight
yeah,
in ways that really are not sustainable. And as you know better than lots of people, you can have short-term success, but you're also probably going to be bankrupting your health in the long run.
that's all right.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, Kori, this has been really wonderful. It's a pleasure to meet you. I mean, after reading your email, I was like, I can't wait to meet Kori. And you have not disappointed,
Oh, thank you, Rip.
not one iota. I just want you to know how proud and happy all of us on the Plant Strong team are for your success. You know, we're here obviously to help you out in any way we can. I'm glad you found the Go Plant Strong Facebook support group.
Yeah,
Uh,
thank
uh,
you. And I hope other people listening and watching this don't get discouraged. I mean, this is so worth it. It feels so great to be healthy. And there's an old saying like nothing tastes as good as being thin feels, but it's nothing tastes as good as being healthy feels.
there it is.
Nothing. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. All right. Well, any last words, or that's probably a good way to end it. Hmm? Yeah,
That's good.
yeah, yeah. Wonderful. Well, I think that your dog behind you, what's his or her name?
Her name is Molly. She's a Tijuana Terrier, we call her.
Uh-huh. Molly.
Molly.
She has been on the edge of her seat the whole time.
I took her on a good hike this morning.
Oh, good for you. Man, I love it. All right. Well, will you give me a virtual Plant Strong fist bump on the way out?
Absolutely.
All right, Kori, bam. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Rip.
All right, Plant Strong. You know, there were so many great takeaways in that interview, namely preparation. I love that she always has food prepared in advance and even has an open bowl of fruit in the fridge so that it's the first thing that she grabs when she's hungry. A great lesson for all of us. I appreciate that she is a member of the free Plant Strong Facebook group where she and literally thousands of others share support and recipes. And naturally, I love that she feels confident for the first time. She's found the way that she's supposed to eat. And what is that way? It's keeping it plant strong. Kale, yeah. Way to go, Kori. It's our wish that you as well taste the freedom that Kori has gained. So I'll be sure to link up to several of our Plant Strong resources in today's show notes. As usual, thank you. Thank you so much for listening, supporting each other, and sharing these shows with people who just may benefit. As always, keep it Plant Strong. The Plant Strong podcast team includes Carrie Barrett, Lori Kordowich, and Amy Mackey. If you like what you hear, do us a favor and share the show with your friends and loved ones. You can always leave a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. And while you're there, make sure to hit that follow button so that you never miss an episode. As always, this and every episode is dedicated to my parents, Dr. Caldwell B. Esselstyn Jr. and Ann Cryo Esselstyn. Thanks so much for listening.